6, 2026. I told you yesterday on the 5th in the Bell store on Route 800 in Magnolia. I was in there several times. First time there were some guys in there. It's Katie's family they're stealing for. Oh, this is funny. Okay. Then there was two ladies in there and they were talking. That agent sending out emails telling no one's to help her. And the video or the audio of him bullying her on the phone, you can tell he altered it. You can tell it's altered. But he left the part where he was cackling at her when he had her say she was lying. And it was evil the way he was cackling at her. We all listened last night, so 2 nights ago, of her saying everything that happened. That church planned this for years before they did it. And we already got it out of those church people that they paid off that agent before he even talked to her. And that's why he talked to her like that, that they had paid him off. And the other lady is like, well, they want to sue her for money for saying who's actually did it, since she's figured out who's actually doing this to her. If she tells they want to sue her, they can't sue her for that. And then they said something stupid about Melissa. And I got in the car and I went off on all the times they caught her saying that she was working with people that said they worked for the drug lord. She was going to have the kids lie. Her getting caught telling the kids to lie, and the kids stating they were lying, and then all the other people, and then the police departments that knew she lied, including the FBI. That worked my case. That agent opened. Okay? Well, people scattered. Well, then later on, at Sheets on Whipple and Fulton, there was a young African-American guy with this beautiful white girl with long black hair, and I thought, what a cute couple. Oh, it wasn't cute when I walked by. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Okay? Said that Will, that one illegitimate daughter of Dave's, he helped her lose all that weight. She wasn't bad looking. She ended up really pretty. It was worth his money putting all that weight in her. And he said, I'll tell you what, you're absolutely perfect for what we need. I thought, oh my God, he's going to sell her. He said, we got an agent in our pocket. He lets us get away with any crime, so whatever we do, don't worry about it. You'll never get prosecuted. Bring your friends around me so I can see him. I thought, dear God, he's going to sell that girl. Okay. Well, today, people have been showing up, and they said it is Pam, Anita, Katie, and Mary all running around trying to, and Dave's, their niece Michelle, it is them doing it. That Dave was dating, and then that Henry Moffey Will guy is her dad. It's Katie's family doing it. They're the ones trying to get me listed as child molester on their drug scam. The ones that Michelle, their niece, admitted September 30th, 25, that this whole thing was their family's dad to drug dealers, and they even human trafficked people to pay back those drug dealers. That I didn't know who she was. It took me a while to figure it out. Okay. Yeah, this is their family's debt to drug dealers. They're trying to extort money from the government. It is Pam, Anita, Mary, Katie, their niece Michelle, Mary's niece Michelle, her dad, Henry Moffey, the Will guy. He's the one in the drug scam with the drug dealers. The ones that owe those drug dealers money. Now, people were stupid enough to say, well, that agent taped her saying she was lying, where that lady said, we already knew he altered it, and it was evil the way he was cackling at her. And they said where we listened to how he talked to her on the phone, it made more sense, because you could tell he altered it. but he left the part where he's cackling. I dated a police officer for a short time. He said, you can never call anybody a liar. You can't even insinuate they're lying. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You are to take their statement, if you believe them or not, and follow through. If they report that you called them a liar, you automatically lose your badge until they can prove if you called them a liar or not. And the day that you call someone a liar, you just bought yourself 20 years federal prison. It's tampering with a witness and tampering with evidence. It's battery. So can there be a tape of him calling, say you're lying or I'll put you in jail? Where he told other police he was just acting that way to get the drug dealers they were messed up in. So Agent John, where they said that you're sending out emails telling everybody not to help me, that you taped me saying that I was lying, my integrity and honesty could never be a question. It is a federal crime punishable by 20 years. Where everybody said it was illegal you doing that to me, it's a federal crime. You can't even question my honesty. Think about that one. If an FBI agent tells a victim, a witness, or an informant, bullies them into saying they were lying, it is a 20 to 30 years federal sentence. That's why Mike DeWine's cousin, Sheriff David, wanted to know if our police were slow and why didn't they arrest him the first day. Well, the Hartville police said that agent told all the police he was only acting that way to get the drug dealers. And so could he open a case if he thought I was actually lying? No. That's defrauding me and the government. It's fraud. And see, that's what they're wanting the case to be called, fraud. So every drug dealer they got off surveillance, they got it out of fraud, and he had no right being around her. They already told him that. They want the case against the cartel and everyone released of any information they ever got off of anyone, all thrown out, never be able to be used again. Thousands of serial killers will be released. Judge Peters in Florida, 100 men. U.S. Marshals used the case, got 1,000. So where you told the Hartville police you were only acting that way to get the drug dealers, you were only acting that way, right? Did you send out that foolish email? Of even evidence being altered, and you tampered with evidence, and they already know it was tampered with because it didn't make sense. And the way you cackled at me and leaving the cackling at, see, my honesty and integrity on a recorded line could never be questioned, ever. It's a federal crime to question my honesty or integrity. So were you acting that way? Because those church people already admitted they paid you off. Where they said it was so funny she didn't know what they were doing. It's so funny she doesn't know what's going on. Oh, we drugged her with hypnotic drugs, or we drugged her with sodium pentothal and told her to say this, amnesia drugs. Okay? It's so funny she doesn't know what's going on. We photoshopped washing in the shower to make her look weird with herself, but it's so funny she doesn't know what we're doing. We framed her before, but it's so funny she doesn't know what we're actually doing. And then they finally came out. They set up that agent to be arrested. You knew they were setting you up, right? They were exposing corrupt law enforcement in this area publicly. The drug dealers that they were dealing with wanted you taken down. You knew that, right? The cops taped them. 21, 22. They were after you the whole time. As a setup where they kept saying, we're using her as a pawn. Well, a pawn is a scam. And then they'd say, oh, they drugged her and told her to say it before. They did this to her. They photoshopped washing in the shower to make her look weird. They framed her before, but she doesn't know what we're actually doing. And it's so funny she doesn't know what's going on. And then they finally came out and said it. They were setting you up to go to jail for this. For that agent to be arrested off this. That's how she didn't know what we were actually doing. They were after you. And they're exposing corrupt law enforcement in this area publicly. They were after you. They wanted you to go to jail for their crimes. So, I mean, you got options, Agent John. That church has already admitted to investigators you took a payoff before you talked to me, and that's why you talked to me that way. That's their version. Now, the Hartville police's version is you told the police you were only acting that way to get the drug dealers. They all know you told on me before. They all know what. You bullied me on the phone, and you told them all it was an act. So you got my money for me, right? It was an act. And then you need to arrest Pam, Anita, Katie, their niece Michelle, her dad, Henry Moffey Will. For trying to extort money out of the government and defrauding an FBI agent. And like they said up in Hartville, they human trafficked her. Oh, yeah. Tried to kill me. They sold kitty porn on my grandkids going potty. And where those people said it was Anita and Pam and Katie running around telling people she's a child molester. I'm not a child molester. They are. They sold kitty porn on my grandkids going potty. So all my family on porn sites, they had me drug beat and raped. And see, that's where people in Hartville 2 days ago were saying she would never threaten anyone. No, I didn't. Oh, by the way, I told Annie today that how this is putting it all together. Being Katie, her mom, Anita and Pam, and their niece Michelle. And it's them, they tried to incite Rick to take Carl's farm, and it was them trying to steal it for themselves. I said investigators were talking. Karen actually figured out who's doing it to her. Where Mary always complained her extended family was messed up in drugs real bad. And right by the case, Pam and Anita were talking at Apostolic Church of Barberton that Mary's niece Michelle, for the opportunity to date someone like Dave, she's willing to kill someone. And Dave was excited. He never had anybody willing to kill someone just to date him. And I asked him what was going on when we got outside, and he said he didn't know who they were talking about. Yes, he did. And so you put that girl that was impersonating retired Judge Pete's daughter, FBI agent Will's daughter, but claiming, a Faith Family Church. And she could have anybody drug beaten, raped, and she was above the law. And here she's just Mary's niece. But she was with the Florida drug cartel, the ones that were for Judge Peters. Must have been the drug dealer that they owed money to. The big ones that showed up here. That or where that African-American guy was telling that pretty girl in sheets, we got an agent in our pocket. Well, he lets us get away with crimes. Don't matter what crime we do here, we'll never get arrested. They were telling crap like that at Faith Family Church in 19. They were above the law. The law couldn't touch them. So, Agent John, you got my money for me, sweetie. A letter of thank you, new name for me, and social for me and Carl. A letter of thank you. If it wasn't for Karen around the house, Karen's will, thousands of drug cartel wouldn't be in jail. Hundreds of people wouldn't have been rescued. I go up in Akron. We all know Karen's will is still open. It's part of the nationwide human trafficking scam. You know, that African-American guy telling that girl she calls someone fat. Who did I call fat? Who did I call fat to their face? I didn't. And then you're saying that one legitimate daughter of Dave's. Oh, I told Danny about them. He said, I never want to meet them. I said, you probably have two half sisters out there. He said, I never want to meet them. And I said, when the case first started, these big 300-pound girls showed up and said they were your dad's illegitimate daughter. And I explained to him how there was rumors of him cheating. And then some other lady using my insurance running up bills. And one hospital said it was a lady with two little girls. And an agent, March 27th, 25, had announced he got a dad. It was a girlfriend from before me, had made him marry me so he could get a job at my dad's factory. My whole marriage was a scam. It was him and his girlfriend. Reality of how disgusting this is. I said one lost a lot of weight, and she's supposed to be dating that Michelle your dad was cheating on me with. Her dad, that Henry Moffey Will guy. He was dating one of your dad's illegitimate daughters. I said, you talk about a disgusting soap opera. They're both dating each other's daughters. I said, but one lost a lot of weight. And I said, I was up in Akron and they were telling them they didn't want to hear it. And I said, they were yelling that Will guy was stealing everything from the case for them to date him and that he had to pay him to date him. And that he promised them all the money and all this other stuff. And it don't matter if you're beautiful. It doesn't matter if you're heavy. If a guy has to pay you to date him, that's sick. It's pathetic. And, even where that African-American guy, that one girl that was that one illegitimate daughter of Dave's, that was really heavy, lost a lot of weight, you just called her fat. She was a heavy girl, 300 pounds. He probably paid for her bypass stomach surgery because it's the only way you can lose like 200 pounds. Literally lose 200 pounds. She was at least 300 pounds when I seen her. Both of them were. And it just, good for her. She lost all that weight. She'll be healthier. Whatever. It doesn't concern me. She's not my child. She's not related to me. And him and his girlfriend scamming me my whole marriage. Like investigator said, Dave set her up her whole marriage, letting that girl use her insurance. Oh, I found out even my marriage was a scam. All the weird incidences, people saying stuff to me. Here it's him and his girlfriend playing with me. Or him and his kids. I owe them nothing in life. They're not my children. They're only his. I'm not their mother. I'm not even related to them. And Dave would always say, some crazy lady stole your ID. She's doing identity fraud. Back then, you could go into a hospital, have procedures, surgeries. You never showed ID. Never. Started with a new doctor. Never showed ID. They took you for who you were. And if you didn't have your insurance card, you can call it in later. That's how people used to have surgeries on other people's insurance. And they wouldn't find out unless a person died. Or they needed a blood transfusion and had a bad reaction because they didn't have the same blood type. Because they just went in and told somebody they were somebody else. That's where Dave said, oh, somebody's committing identity fraud, Karen. I'd never cheat on you. Yes, he did. He scammed me, him and his girlfriend. So, just like up in Hartville 2 days ago at Grinders, people were talking. Karen finally figured out who was actually doing it to her. And then other people, she never threatened anybody. I know I didn't. I went over with Danny how Katie was lying. And how she was lying when Dad quit his church. And telling people he left me for da-da-da-da-da crazy crap. And I said, we avoided her like the plague. And I said, I was going down on Blaylock's. This older lady came up to me, said, I heard your husband left you. I said, he hadn't left me. It's 2011. I said, he goes to work, he comes home at night. I don't know where you're getting your information. She kept going on. I heard you're in denial. I said, ma'am, he never left me. I said, remember when I was working at Woodforce? He said, I remember that. I said, Dad was waiting for me. She came up and said, I'm so glad you came back to Karen. He said, I never left her. I said, Dave, that was one of the lies. He said, ma'am, I never left her. And she went, I don't care who you are in that church. You can't lie like that. I said, "Ugh." And Danny started laughing. He said, Mom, I have nothing to do with those people. I said, neither do I. I said, that's where the whole thing of neither do I. And I said, she made up all kinds of stuff that I caught him in bed together, chased her around the house with a knife, down the street with a knife. I said, my God, I never caught him with no one, and none of that happened. And then she's supposed to have, he left me for her. They were going out. I said, he's still at home. I said, I even went over and asked Francis go for a walk with me, Francis Calco. I said, where are these people getting all these crazy stories? And then they made up stories of drunk and drug in the front of the yard in a bikini, getting drunk, watching porn, laying around playing with yourself. I said, it's disgusting. I said, Dad was so mad. He said, we don't even talk like that around people. He said, I know you didn't. And well, I said, Dad got mad enough he quit his church. He said he got tired of people saying stuff. Well, getting back to Frances, when I went for a walk with Frances, I said, why are people making up all this stuff? She said, well, Mary hates you. I said, how could she hate me? I haven't seen her in 8 years. She started laughing great big. She said, is that what's going on? I said, what's going on? You don't know? I said, no, what? She's like, never mind. She was making up stories on somebody she'd never seen in 8 years. Well, with them making up all kinds of stories on Dave and crazy crap on me, we were walking into the mall. We went through Macy's. I said, Dave, are you cheating on me with that girl? He said, Karen, I'd rather kiss a cow's butt than that fat, ugly heifer. We're right by the purses in Macy's. This is 2011. And I started laughing, and he said, I said, Dave, are you cheating with that girl? He said, Karen, she's pathetic, making up stories for people's attention. She's pathetic and making up stories for people to still feel sorry for. He said, and making up stories that a married man would leave his wife for her. She's nothing but pathetic. Well, we avoided her like a plague after that. We didn't talk to her anyways. We had nothing to do with her. We avoided her like the plague. We'd go out to the mall. We'd look at the jewelry store we knew she worked at. We'd walk on the other side of the kiosk. Or if we had to, we walk by to go down to the New York and Company, where I used to do my shopping, we'd make sure we didn't say a word so she couldn't say we said anything. Okay, that's 2011. It's his mean joke in Macy's. Would she ever know about it? No, not unless he told her that he told a mean joke and I dared laugh to stir the pot because they were they were coming up with a plan to kill me. Because I didn't talk to her. We had nothing. I told you, before that, before the big lie, all those crazy lies, and me confronting him, one time in the mall, she walked by and said hi, and was like, hi. Just acknowledge her. She cheats with my brother-in-law, Tim. My sister, Linda, had known it since 2001. She will not confront him. So we just ignored the situation. It's just hi. That's it. I didn't go to her church. Had nothing to do with her. Had no phone numbers, no addresses, nothing. And so Dave's mean joke in 2011, the only way she would have known is if he told her so they could stir the pot to egg people on to kill me. And it was 7 years later, after his mean joke in Macy's of, are you cheating? Then him saying that, and I dared laugh. I want you to think how sick this is. And it's just like that African-American guy telling that girl she called someone fat. Who'd I call fat? Who'd I call fat to their face? I didn't. Those two 300-pound girls, I never called them anything to their face. And they were 300 pounds, and where you said Dee's illegitimate daughter lost all that weight, you called her fat too. She was. She lost a ton of weight. She ought to be proud of herself. She was 300 pounds easy. What I could see of her. And what wasn't funny is they were running around with the truck guys saying that they were human traffickers from Florida. And his family was running with the drug cartel. That's not funny. And it's not funny Mary's niece, Katie's family member, and those women think they can extort money from the government, and they're setting you up to go to jail. They already told investigators they paid you off, Agent John. That's why you did it. They testified against you. Got my money yet? Because you're going to tell all the police departments, like you told Hartville, you were only acting that way to get the drug dealers. Because they know it's a federal crime. You could never have a recording of me saying I was lying. Where you said you either say you're lying or I'll arrest you. You better say you're lying or I'll put you in jail. I'm going to come up and arrest you. Either say it or I'll arrest you. Remember that one? I said say it or I'll put you in jail. It's like, fine. Remember? Ha, 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 ha. How evil it was listening to you cackle. You left your cackle on the recording. You said alter tapes to police departments. That's altering evidence. That's a federal crime too. You can't even have a tape of me saying I was lying because my integrity could never be questioned, and it's a federal crime. It's illegal to even ask me that. Like the officer I dated, it's a federal crime, and if they can prove you did it, go jail 20 years. I'm gonna upload this.